Go on, touch it. It won't bite.
Touch me.
Hello and welcome to another Retro Crazy Mini Bite. This is a Nintendo DS Lite and you can see it's fully functional, touchscreen works fine, LCDs are fine, and yeah, it's running absolutely perfectly. But it seems to have a bit of a problem here, and that's that, well, the hinge doesn't do anything because it's broken. So this top is completely broken. Both halves look like they are potentially unsalvageable, but we'll see. However, what I am going to do is I'm going to replace this top, and I just happen to have a shiny clean Nintendo DS Lite case, and this is an original. It's not pristine, there's a little crack here, there's a tiny little crack there, but it's complete. I've already taken this off of a dead machine. It's all been cleaned and washed. So I am kind of thinking maybe, yeah, maybe this could replace. Now what I can try doing is, let me switch this off. This bottom shell, I can't see any damage, but it's very, very dirty and grubby. Not sure it's going to clean up very well at all, but we'll check. I think it's maybe a bit too yellow underneath the plastic. So we need to strip this down. To do a top case replacement, everything has to come out. You've got no choice. And unfortunately, that also means this horrendous ribbon connector that sits under here. This is my Achilles heel. I hate doing this thing. It is an absolute nightmare. Everything else is not too bad. So first things first, let's get the lower frame off, because we need to get the battery out. Now you are going to need 2 screwdrivers. You're going to need a normal Phillips screwdriver, because there are some normal Phillips screws here, sometimes here, but this one looks like a tri-wing. There will be some other Phillips inside, but we're also going to need a tri-wing. So first things first, let's get this battery out. Now with the batteries, look for the tab. On the DS it's down here, on the DS Lite it's here, and the tab is at the opposite side from the actual battery terminals. So the battery is out, the battery cover definitely needs a clean as well. And now we have a number of tri-wings to remove. Now there are 2 hidden, so I'm just going to use these to get down underneath and lift out. And there's another screw in here and another screw in here, and be aware these are a different colour. Don't know why. They're all normally silver except for gold, gold and black. This one we're not going to be removing at the moment because that's holding on the circuit board, but we do have all these ones to pop out. And with those all out, we can now look at removing this lower. Now, you should be able to start here and it'll pop. The buttons should remain separate if you're careful. For this side, there's a clip point just under here. So try and release that, and it should pop. And now, if we are gentle, the entire lower will come off. It's very grubby, but we can pop this to the side. Now we can see inside, we've got the shoulder buttons to remove. There are some small springs, so carefully release the tension on the spring and lift everything out. There's one, and there's two. That's the screw we could see through the battery terminal. There's a second one here, and Nintendo circle them with a nice thick white line so you can tell exactly where they go. Now before we do that, we've got a connector here and a connector here. This I think is the antenna, and this is for the microphone. To remove them, just take your tweezers and they should get underneath them, and they should just hopefully pop off. Now I have seen obviously people like Elliot from the Retro Future. He just pops this entire thing off. To be honest, I've never found a need to remove it. Now pay attention to where the wiring goes. You can see this one goes underneath here, and underneath it is the white one. So these have to get popped back so that they jam down here and don't affect the shoulder buttons. This one runs underneath the card reader. I like to try and make sure that's relatively flat, and then we've got to carefully get it to basically come out. It sometimes catches on pieces on its way, but patience and it will come. This one can just be moved to the side, and again, if this is out the way you can get underneath it and just pop, but using these you can still get to the back. Just lift up that tab and then very carefully disconnect the digitizer. That's that done. Now we can remove these two screws. And this circuit board should just lift. Now what we're wanting to do is to try and get everything to move at the same time as the screen pops. So I'm going to open it and I'm just going to gently put some pressure, and there it goes. That's now out, and we're just going to basically lift this off and then fold everything flat, because there's another connector here and that should just pop up like so. Now we can disconnect it, and that's that off. This screen we don't need to take off. We are going to be dropping this in as is, and in fact I could have left the digitizer. That was a bit silly, wasn't it? But that's fine, because I can turn it over and just pop the digitizer cable back in like so, and then drop the connector flat, and that's fine. I'm going to lift this off because I want to check. It's actually relatively clean. I'll give it a quick spruce up and it can go back on. So again, this can now go to the side. Next, let's remove the rest of the pads, and these are all the bits I'm going to be keeping. Now you'll see the routing of the wire, and it all clips in to these points, so we just need to make sure it lifts out and have these ready for removal. Next, these are two quite long screws. These hold one part of the hinge in. And do not get these mixed up with the others, these are very long. We can now open this, and you'll see this part that we've just unscrewed is basically fallen out. At the other side, what we need to do is guide this ribbon cable carefully through the slot. We don't want to damage the ribbon cable, and this is how it comes out. I'm going to first make sure it's released, and now try and guide this cable. You can see it starting, and now hopefully with a gentle wiggle it'll just come through, and then we can just extract the rest of the wires. Again, there's nothing wrong with this piece, except it's absolutely filthy. And then that leaves us the top screen to go. So I've zoomed in a bit for this, so you can see the next stage a bit clearer. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 rubberized pads with glue on one side, and they're notorious for being damaged. I'm going to use a pin, and I'm going to try and get down in the corner, again without damaging the plastic if I can, underneath and lift. And hopefully that hasn't damaged the rubberized pad. So let's move on, we'll take all 4 off. So with all 4 off, you can now see the 4 Phillips screws, so let's pop them out. Next is this silver ring. Some of the DS Lites I've seen have a slit in them. This does not appear to have a slit, which makes it a little bit more awkward. However, for this I'm going to take a small pair of pliers and I'm just going to carefully pull out this ring. And now, with that off, I can slide, hopefully, this fascia. It should slide. There we go. And we should be able to just pop up the cover and lift the back off. Now the back is intact. It's not damaged. Okay, it's disgusting, but it's not damaged and therefore can be used potentially to salvage another one. So now we are going to have to remove all of this ribbon cable without damaging it through this tiny little hole so that we can remove the screen and all of the components. To do that, we're going to have to roll it up. Now it's started, I'm going to flex the top, get the screen to start popping out. And while I'm doing this, I'm just putting a little bit of pressure inside while supporting everything so it doesn't suddenly launch itself out of the frame. Let's pop this speaker, and everything is loose. So last is this bottom seam, which is proving to be very tight. I'm trying not to put too much pressure on it because I don't want to crack the LCD, obviously. There we go. With that done, I should now hopefully be able to get the rest of this cable to come through. And with that out the way, we can now extract first of all the antenna, and now I can lift out the microphone, and the last thing I want to remove is this tiny piece of foam. Right, that is pretty well dead, so that is going to be consigned to the bucket. And now we can start putting everything back in. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is getting this cable back through there, and trust me, it is a giant pain. This is the part that I absolutely detest. Okay, let's just do a twofer. Let's pop the metal in, and this one is actually quite a loose fit. I am wondering if this is meant to be the one with the slot in it, which is slightly bigger. Give me a second, I'm going to see if I have one. And sure enough, I've got one. So this is the one that should be the tighter fit. Oh yeah, much tighter fit. Okay, so that's the one I'm going to be using. This one will go into my spares. because I'm using the one with the cut, it's a little bit easier. I just need to get it through the plastic. Oh, in fact, I missed something, didn't I? Silly me. Much easier if you fit that first, because then you don't have to worry about trying to get the speaker out the way and all of this out the way to try and fit that. Now let's pop in the connector. Yeah, hate this bit. Did say that right at the start. There we go. With that done, I'm going to carefully lift this, take the speaker with it. Now I can feed through, first of all, the microphone, which clips down in here, like so, and that's it held down out the way. We can now take the antenna, that will also feed through, and this just goes up to here, but again, you should be able to clip it, and that's it down out the way. Now we can fold the speaker over. Let's not fold the speaker. Now we can fold the screen over and get everything where it should be. And with that in place, we can take our nice clean back, and we're going to start about there, flip it all over, and then slide it into place. And now we can refit the screws. Now the hinge needs to go in. I'm not going to use the original hinge. What I'm going to do is take the hinge, which was originally with this, and they're shaped. They should only be able to go in one way, like so. I'm going to take the new cleaner one, I think. Let me just check. Yeah, there's quite a colour difference. This one's got a tiny little bit of damage, but the colour difference is exceptional. So, okay, that goes to the side. I'm going to take the new one, fit the light tubes, and all these do is they take the colour of the LED that's lit, because there are 3 LEDs up in this corner. So you've got a, if I remember right, I think you've got amber, green and red in that orientation. The amber lights this one, and the green and red and light this one, and that just takes the colour and transfers it somewhere where you can see it. So now we need to start thinking about putting this into the rest of it. The first thing we're going to do is fit it to this nice clean lower frame, and again we've got this ribbon connector to get in, and that should be relatively easy. Those go through, and then taking this, we should be able to put it through the slot like so, and then when that goes down we realise we've missed a part, haven't we?
One seamless edit later.
The hinge, again, should only be able to go on one way. So it goes on that way, and then we'll turn. And now that's where the 2 longer screws come in. And hopefully, if we've done it right, oh, that feels good. The hinge now holds. Next is all of this. Now, if you remember, the white wire had to sit, and you can see the bend where it actually comes round and sits round that. So it comes round here and just pushes down, round here. Yeah. Let's try that and hopefully get it to stay this time. So round that point in there, it's got to clip into all of these points, and the theory is it's meant to sit there. This one temporarily can sit out the way. So next is going to be all the buttons. I'm going to use the ones I've already cleaned. I don't see the point in holding it up just to clean. And the nice thing about all these buttons is they are actually shaped. And on the back they've got 1 or 2 tabs and a cutout. So this is a single, one opposite the other, so it should fit there. And now the bit I absolutely detest, and that is trying to get this connector back in place. Yeah, I find other than this, trying to get this connector on a giant faff. What we do want to do is make sure the screen doesn't drop off, so you have to hold it. And if we do it right, then hopefully we should get everything to be able to fold back. But you've got to be able to pull it out enough to be able to get it to clip in. So yeah, and because it's wrapped in one direction, it wants to spring in the other. The joys. See what I mean? Hate it. Right, that's, I think, slightly out there, unfortunately. Let's try again. Okay. Hopefully that's done. As I say, that's the bit I really hate. And then the joys of trying to feed this underneath the slot. So here we go. Wish me luck. Right, just to aid me, I am going to put in the 2 screws that hold the main circuit board in. So now we can look at connecting the antenna here and the mic. And there we go, routed the way it originally was. Next we've got the shoulder buttons, and we'll need not only the pivots, we're also going to need the springs. So this is the left, should go on here. Fitment's quite simple. Easiest way is try and hold everything like that and then drop the pin through. Then line up the hole, drop it down, and then easiest way, grab some tweezers and just pop the spring round into position. And it should hold. And then do the same for the second one. Okay, because this was completely stripped for cleaning, I've got the volume slider to fit and also the power switch. So with those fitted, I'm now going to fit the compartment for the stylus and the missing bracket. And with that all done, this is now ready to go onto the bottom. We're going to pop this end in first because it's got to go over here, and then the back end should just drop down. Okay, let's get all of these screws back in. And there we are. Hopefully all done. More importantly, hopefully all working. So let's power on. Green. Top and bottom screens, yep. Battery's been out, so it's lost everything. So we will just now that it's switched off, I'm going to pop in Pokemon Ruby version. Thank you, Ryan, you know who you are. Recently got married, he did. He's now a Mr. Ryan. Right. We've got green. Tap. And we're running. Volume's working. Superb, and we're done. We've now got a nice, clear, clean Nintendo DS Lite. So, thank you for watching. Please remember, like and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up icon, it does help drive the algorithm. And I'll see you on the next Retro Crazy Mini Bite.